I'm really happy to be here. It's my second time at NG India. The other reason I'm happy is Angular was the first framework that I picked up when I was starting my web dev journey. Moving on to the agenda. We'll be talking about Headless Angular. As the title says, building experiences and scalable apps. We'll be talking about what Headless is. Firstly, we'll also take a look why Angular. I'm sure that we already know it. We already know the benefits of Angular. But that is something I have put it over here for the build-up. Then we'll see what a CMS is. We'll talk about monolithic CMSs. You can use it for creating different type of applications. Whenever you are using, let's say, whenever you're building something with Angular, you can convert the same code for PWAs, you can build mobile applications, you can use it for desktop applications and so on. So cross-platform is something that I really like about Angular, and it's super easy building with Angular. Second point is scalability. Doesn't matter the size of the application, you can probably build any sized application with Angular. The third point is internationalization, so that's that's pretty much easy to configure with Angular, and it helps everyone involved. The last point is communities. So Angular has a very great community. That's probably, I would say, it was my first framework as I mentioned, and that's probably the reason of it because, and also I mean, you can see it here today as well, it has a great community. Talking about what is a CMS. Has anyone ever used a CMS before? I'm sure that, amazing. I'm sure that you might have even seen the page builder sort of things where you drag and drop the components, see the changes in real time and so on. So a CMS is a content management system. It somewhat looks like this. I mean, if we talk about the architecture, it looks somewhat like this. Content management system is something where you go and store the data, manage the data. If you, let's say you're writing a blog or something like that, you go over there, you edit the blog, or manage, again, as the definition says, as the full form says, content management system. And this is how it looks. It has an admin interface, so you go in there, it has a database where it stores the data, and then you have a view layer present. But this comes in with a couple of limitations. Since the view layer is built inside the platform, you cannot do much of the things over there. It's because you don't have any control over the code. I recently remember a friend of mine called me and he was building an e-commerce platform. But the issues over there were he wanted to do a couple of customizations, like how the product is going to look like. He wanted users to interact with the product and change the product according to the user inputs. He also wanted to apply some sort of framing and stuff like that. But you cannot do much of coding when you are using a monolithic structure. And this is how a monolithic structure looks like. And here comes in the part of headless. So if we talk about headless, is anyone using a headless CMS? Feel free to let me know if you have any preferences or something like that. Awesome. So, with the definition, if you go for the headless, as it says, headless. So we chop the head off. Not of the bean, of course, but the view layer, which I was talking about before. Like if we see over here, the view layer in the end, like the label 4, is not integrated inside the CMS. It kind of looks like this. So you have an admin interface, you go inside the admin interface, you change the data, you change the content, but in the end, you can retrieve it with the help of APIs most of the times. And when you can retrieve it through the APIs, you can use any of the platforms or any of the front-end frameworks that you prefer, or you can even get it on any of the channels. So as you can see, it says you can get it on e-commerce apps, you can get it on websites, you can get it on Android applications. Since, there is no limit. You can even build smartwatch apps, voice assistants, and stuff like that. This is a slide for differences between the headless and monolithic system. This might make it more clear. So if you look over here, you'll see that we have this sort of structure which is tightly coupled, and you cannot do a lot of things over there. If you go and build something, it's probably most of the times for the websites, or let's say, you can only build for one platform. But when we go to the headless structure, you can see that the structure over there has an admin interface, a database, and then you can retrieve the data on any of the platforms because it's an API first approach, and that's why probably most of the developers like us, I see a lot of developers moving towards it because of the API first approach. And with the API first approach, again, you get a lot of flexibility and you're writing your own code. So the websites you're building, the mobile apps you're building, it's not something that is going to be pre-built, it's something that you're going to code yourself. So you have a lot of flexibility. You can, I'll just move on to the benefits of the headless. So these are the benefits of headless. You can see that it's, there is decoupled front end, which makes the developer experience super amazing. You can code by yourself, and it's not necessary, right, that the front end is going to be something pre-built. It's going to be something that you do by yourself. Then we have omni-channel support. Since you can get the data on any of the platforms, since you can get the data on any of the channels like mobile applications or websites, something like that, you get the omni-channel support. And omni-channel is something we are also going to be talking about talking about it a bit later. But this is something marketers really love, because in the end, we also as developers, we also want to give the user the best experience they can get on any of the platform, right? I mean, you would want your user who's coming to your website to see the same sort of products on the website as well as on your mobile applications. So that's why omni-channel support is very important. Code maintainability, because you're creating components. It's a component-based structure. You can use these components over and over again and again, and it's not like that, it won't be like that your content editors comes in and they ask you to, let's say, put in the content again and again. It's going to be like they can put in the content at one place, and then you won't have to do a lot of work. Talking about scalability and flexibility, I think most of the points I covered, they kind of talk about scalability and flexibility by themselves. So again, if we talk about components, once it's made, it's not something that you're going to be, you want to code it again and again. You can scale the application through those components in case you don't need something new. And building something new also gets very easy with that. API first, as I mentioned, it's API first. So that's why the developers also love it. When you combine these two benefits, right? I mean, we already spoke about the benefits of Angular, and when you combine these benefits of headless, Angular and headless, it becomes a very powerful combination, because they kind of have similar sort of benefits. If you're talking about flexibility, scalability, Angular gives you that, as well as headless gives you that. So we'll be taking a look how easy it is to integrate a headless CMS inside an Angular application. We'll be looking at Storyblock. So Storyblock is a headless CMS, which I kind of like to use, and it works for everyone. If we go why it works for everyone, if we talk about developers, again, it's API first. Developers, they don't get a lot of content requests. If we talk about marketers, they can they can build the pages, they can build the campaigns, they can schedule the campaigns very easily. So those sort of tools are there. Talking about content editors, Storyblock comes in with a visual editor, so you can see how the content looks like in real time, as you would see in a monolithic CMS. In the monolithic CMS, you have the presentation layer inside it, so you can see it over there. But this is something where you see your own code, how it looks like. And enterprises also love it, because it's very easy to integrate it with a lot of you can make a lot of extensions. It's very easy to build your own integrations. There are a lot of there are a lot of plugins for e-commerce present, and so on. So the visual editor which I was talking about, let's take a look at that. This is how it kind of looks in the picture, but let's see it in action. So yeah, this is Storyblock application. This is app.storyblock.com, and this is how you organize your content. You can see that it's just like a basic folder structure. You can create entries, folders, and entries inside the folders. I'll just go to the home story. On the center of the screen, you can see that this is the visual editor I was talking about, and on the right hand side, you can see the components associated with it. So these are the components that you are making, these are the schemas which you are defining, and then you're using it on your front end, and this is how your front end is looking. And then, I was talking about the visual editor. You can do the live edits and every other thing inside the visual editor itself. So if I go over here, you'll probably even see the dotted lines coming in. These dotted lines are coming in with the help of a JavaScript bridge. So once you load your website inside this iframe, and once you integrate it with the bridge, you can identify the components, and if I go over here, you'll see that we can do the edits in real time. Yeah, just a bit of lag over there. And you can, you can even do drag and drop and a couple of other things as well. And this can go very granular. So let's say you're defining fields like fields for styling. You're defining options to give. You're giving options for your content editors to style the content. Let's say if I go inside the hero section over here, you'll see that there is a styling tab as well, and this is something again which you are making by yourself. So if I want to, let's say, do the horizontal alignment like this, I can just do it. This is like, I mean, this is a complex setting where you have complex sort of schemas and everything. I'll just move on to another space for which we'll see this, the code as well. So you can see that these are a couple of components. The page component is on the top. Inside the page component, we have a body, and these are a couple of other components. Let's move on to the code and see how it works. I hope the font is good. Yeah. So I have installed two libraries over here. One is the ng dynamic component, because as you were able to see, there were components and schemas present, and they are kind of loaded in a dynamic sort of environment. The code doesn't know which component is going to come first or which component is going to come later. So that's why I've installed this ng dynamic component. The other one is the Storyblock.js client, which is going to allow us to get the data from Storyblock itself. So if I go over here to the space again, you'll see that this is how you get the data, and this is the API. So whatever you are storing over here, if I just minimize the visual editor, whatever you are storing over here, you're going to get it through the APIs just like this. And for this, only we have this Storyblock.js client installed. So if I go into the services, you'll see that I have an access token, which I'm getting from the space, and this is how I'm defining the functions for, like to get the data, to get the story, and so on. There is another thing which is over here. So there is this directive. This is the directive. I'm not going to go much into the detail, but this is something which allows your components to be clickable. The live editing which we were able to see in real time, this is the, this is one of the reasons why we are able to see it. This allows you to identify the components over there in the visual editor. And these are the components which we were talking about. So you can see that there are like 4 components. If I go over here, you can see that there is one page, one teaser, grid, and features inside the grid. And these lines which you see over here are coming in from, this directive is going to be sitting on the components, and this is helping you to, this is helping you to see the outlines and stuff. Now the magic where it happens. Firstly, the bridge I was talking about, this is the script for the bridge. So you import the bridge, with the script you import the bridge in your index.html file, and then if I go to the app.component file, you'll see that this is the logic we are writing over here. We are initializing the bridge, and we are making the logic such that if you ever do any sort of change, if you are doing, let's say, if you're providing any input inside the visual editor, then you can edit the components in real time. Let's create a new component so that it gets, it gets a bit easy to understand. So firstly, I'll go over here, and let's say I create a new block. Let's say banner. The banner, we can give it a couple of fields. Let's say title, then let's say an image. The image can be of type, let's say, asset, because image doesn't work with text. So I'll just select asset over here. I'll select images. So now you have this component ready, but we also need this component to be coded in our front end as we saw the other components. Now what I can do is I can go over here and I can add this component. So if I go over here and if I add this banner component, you'll see no change, because we don't have anything coded inside our front end. So let's create the component inside the front end as well, and let's see how the components, how the fields are mapped so that you can do the real-time edits. I'll just go over here and I'll just create a component, banner component with skipping the tests. So this is how the banner component is created, but we'll need to do a little of configuration. So I think I'll just copy a bit of code from, let's say, feature. Since we are providing, a couple of fields over there, the fields were image and title. So I'll just do that. The first one was title. Let's have it like just a string. And then if I go for the image is going to be coming to us in the format of an object. So let's just give the type any over here. So now this, the TypeScript setup is done now. Now we need to display these, now we need to map these properties which we defined inside the CMS over here. So I'll again go to the feature just to copy a couple of things. You can see that this is the, just a second. can see that this is how the directive is sitting on the top, like the directive which we saw, and this is helping you to like get the outlines, and this is allowing you to click on the components. Now the fields which we defined were image and title, so I'm just gonna add the image and title over here. So let's say title, and then let's go for the image. And the image's SRC is going to be like, we can see how the data comes in. So I'll just I'll just say that this is a banner, and I'll also add this image. Let's say this image, and if I save it, and if I see the JSON, like the JSON we saw for the other space for this project, like when we saw the JSON, we can see the JSON for this as well. And if I go over here, you'll see that this is how the JSON looks, and this is how the asset is coming to us. So it's the SRC is going to be inside image.file name. So I'll just go over here and I'll say, I'll bind it, and I'll say, oops, that this is going to be image.src. And now I also need to have this inside my, oh sorry, thank you so much. Yeah. So now I also need to add this component over here where we are, where we had the components and where we were importing the dynamic components. So I'll just import the banner component, and I'll register the banner component over here because we named it banner over there. And we are just registering over, we are registering it over here, and I think it should work. So if I go over here, you'll see that now the banner and image are coming. I'll just fix the image because it's not looking very good. So I'll just go over here and I'll say, let's say width. Yeah. So now we can see that we have a banner, and this is the component which we created right now. And if I want to change anything, so for example, if I do these things, they are happening in real time. Even if I change the image right now, so if I go over here and if I select another image, you'll see that that is also changing in real time. Right now, none of your production or your draft is getting changed. This is something that you're only seeing inside the visual editor happening in real time. You can see that from here you can even change the URL. So right now we are running it on our local, but if it's in the product, if it's in the production environment, then also you can change it. Let's make it a bit more dynamic so that we also get to understand how the dynamic sort of fields work. Let's add a color field. Let's add a background color field. So I'll just go here and I'll say BG color, and let's select the type as a single option over here, and let's give a couple of options. So red will say red, and if I add another field, it's going to be let's add blue color over here. And now again, we need to map this field inside the front end. So if I go over here again, I can just say BG color, and let's make it string this time. Now if I go over here inside my front end, this front end is something again which you're coding by yourself, and you're seeing these changes happening in real time. So this front end, since the front end stays with you, you can even have static sort of things, and you can even have dynamic sort of things, and the deployment and everything that stays in your hand. So if I go over here and let's say I add the styling option, I add the style, and I say background, and let's say I make it yellow for the first time, and if I go over here, it's going to be yellow, right? Because I've hard coded it. Now if I want to make it dynamic, right now no color is selected, but I'll just do red over here. Now what I can do is I can map this field as red over here. I can map the color, I can map the BG color which I had in my TypeScript file over here. And now this is going to allow you to, just a second. Yeah, so I didn't save it for the first time, but yeah, this is how it is going to now change dynamically. So now if I go over here and if I do blue, you'll be able to see that it comes in a blue background. And I just made these components to just made an easy component to showcase how easily you can integrate it and how easy it is going to be to do the live edits in real time. Now what happens is this can go, this can be even inside a complex structure that we were looking at before. So if I go over here, you already saw, for example, I had horizontal alignment, I had vertical alignment, environment. You can, you can make the schemas as complicated as you like. So if I go over here inside the hero, you'll see that inside the styling options, I have vertical alignment, text color, full height, and these are the fields which are going to be defined by you. So once you define these fields, once you are done making the front end, once you make the components inside the front end, and once the components are mapped, what you can do is you can give this thing. Whenever anyone from your content team is editing something, they can do it by themselves. It's not that you always need a developer to do these things. And as we saw, the setup is super easy. What makes it better with Angular is you can use it on any of the platforms, as we were discussing before. So since it's the API first approach, you can use it with your mobile applications, smartwatch apps, and again, this is the same thing. I think I also have a slide for that, probably. Yeah. So this is how it gets very powerful. You have the headless CMS sitting at one place, and on the other side, you can use the same data, you can use the same content to build multiple sort of applications, be it mobile, PWAs, desktop, or web applications. And this is what makes the experience better as well, and this is what makes enterprises and developers choose headless architecture. Because even if I'm in an e-commerce environment or something like that, I can have my headless CMS sitting at one place, the front end, even they can be multiple front ends as well, front end sitting at different places, and I can integrate let's say an e-commerce platform, and that e-commerce platform can can send the data to the headless CMS, and from the headless CMS you can get the data again on different platforms. Let's talk about the experiences, like how it increases or how it improves the experiences for everyone. This is a sort of this is one sort of diagram which shows the conclusion, which kind of shows how why this becomes very powerful. But one of the other reasons why enterprises and developers they like to go on the headless approach is that it improves the experience of everyone present in, everyone involved in the process. So let's talk about the experiences. I know that developer experience is kind of I'd say more important over here, but I've saved it for last. So we'll just go from content editors first. What content editors do, they can they can create once and they can publish anywhere. So once you have created your content at one place, once you hit publish, that's going to go to every channel and every place wherever you have your front end. No developer dependency, so I think we already spoke about it, but let's say again I'm writing a blog, I'm a content editor. The component for the blog is already defined. Now if the component is already defined, I can just go and duplicate this stuff, or I can even create a new blog and I won't need a developer over there. So I won't need to go to the developer and say that, hey, can you please edit this, hey, can you please make these changes. And again, as we also saw that it can be in the complex environments as well. Then even let's say you are inside an e-commerce setting again, and you are writing about a product, or you are making a section where you need to show featured products or something like that. Once the section is built, you don't need a developer again and again to change the products or to make the edits over there. So that's how it reduces the dependency over a developer. Then we also have collaboration. So there are multiple tools present. For example, discussion, commenting, workflows. These sort of things are there. So that increases the collaboration over there. Creation of content in minutes, and then SEO. SEO is also something that is very important whenever you are building any sort of dynamic application as well, or static application. Or static application. SEO is also something very important. And in this case as well, once you have defined the logic for the SEO, right? With the fields, once you have defined that this field is going to derive the SEO, this field is going to be my meta title, meta description. That sort of, those fields, they can be present inside any of the pages or any of the stories. And content editors, they can go in and they can, they can do the SEO for any of the pages by themselves, and they won't have to go to the developers again and again saying that, can you please add the SEO for this page, can you do this for that other page. Moving on to the marketers, as we already spoke about omnichannel, we'll be speaking about personalization in a bit. I have a space for that as well. I have a project for that as well. Again, when we talk about omnichannel experience, you want to give your users a similar experience on any platform. I'm sure that we might have seen these sort of things happening as well. Like if you search for a product, doesn't matter. If you are on an e-commerce application and if you search for a product, you're going to see that product on the website as well. On that e-commerce e-commerce's application website as well, and you're also going to see the same ads on the mobile, or it's going to recommend you the similar product. Doesn't matter which platform you are. So this is something where, where the companies, they invest millions, I'd say, to create a better user experience. New campaigns in minutes. So you can make campaigns in no time. The way we saw, the way we created a component, let's say the component is again created, it's similar to the creation of pages. So if you can create a page again and again, if you can schedule the campaigns ahead of time, marketers are happy, and marketers are very happy. Marketers are very happy, and as the last point also says tools like scheduling. Now talking about the developers, developers are happy again because they can choose anything. So it doesn't matter which front-end framework you prefer, you can use that the way you want to. Let's say someone is more experienced with Bootstrap, they can use Bootstrap for styling. Someone is more experienced with, let's say, Tailwind, then they can use Tailwind for styling, or even any other framework. It's not necessary to stick to a framework as well. So developers are always happy in this sort of situations where they can pick the thing they want to pick, or the stack they want to pick up. Less content requests, as we already saw. If it reduces the dependency on developers, developers are also happy. Like we saw, if a content editor is making less requests for changing the content, then the developers are going to be very happy as well. Clean code and internationalization. So there is a support for internationalization as well. Again, I'm giving the example of e-commerce again and again because that's a sort of bigger setting. So again, if you are in an e-commerce environment, you have your website or application or your e-commerce platform running for many different countries or many different languages. This also helps you in that. Clean code, since the components are made once, you don't need to go and edit in real time. As we created it like this, it's always going to be dynamic, right? So if I want to use that component again, I can just use it and I won't have to write the code again and again. And that is going to be done from the side of from the content editors themselves. Let's also see quickly how you can make personalized content in this sort of situations. So I think I have a space for personalization. Yeah. Over here, I've stored two categories. One is elegant and the other one is sportswear. Now let's say you identify the customer. First let's see how the products are defined over here. So if I go inside the products, you'll see that every product, wherever I go, has one field of category. So now whenever a new product is getting created, these products can also come from an e-commerce platform. As I mentioned, you can do multiple integrations. Let's say these products, let's say your content editors, they are making more products. They are, they want to write about more products or something like that. They can just go over here and they can add a new product and they can select the category, right? They can select the category that this product should be of this category because we had a category field. Now when we talk about making catalogs or when we talk about giving personalized content to the users, if I go inside catalog, you'll see that we have three options available over here. So let's say you identify the customer, that this customer is more interested in elegant wear or in sportswear, or if the customer is coming on your website for the first time. If the customer is coming on the website for the first time, what you can do is you can show this, and it gets very, just forgot to mention one thing, it gets very easy to analyze which sort of customer you have with Angular, right? You can identify the type of customer. So let's say the customer is visiting the website for the first time, you can show this catalog. If I move on to the other catalogs, let's say the sportswear catalog, it is taking one of the category. So the two categories which we had, it is taking one of the categories from that, and it's going to be that catalog. I can have more content over here. If I go, I can add more content and stuff like that. But just to showcase you, even if new product is added and if the content editors are working on, let's say, making a catalog for that new product, they can just select the category, and then in your front end, you use this logic, you fetch the data according to the category. Even if I go onto the home page right now, Even if I go to the home page right now, you'll see that this is one section for personalized content. This is a section which you can show to the users who are visiting it for the first time. Then these are the two sections which you can use depending upon which type of customer is visiting. So this is how personalization works, and in the end, what this does is this creates a better experience for the user. And this is, this is what we want in the end, right? We want to create better users, better experiences for the users, and this is how developers feel in the end. So developers feel very powerful and they feel very excited about the product. They feel good coding it. They feel super energetic. So yeah, that was most about it. Thank you so very much. I hope I was able to. I hope I was able to discuss better things about Headless and why enterprises and developers, they prefer this. I really wanted to have a Q&A, but since the time is up, you can visit our booth. We have a booth outside. Storyblocks booth is out there. With me today, we have Deepankar and Siddharth as well over there. And yeah, if you want to clone this project, if you want to clone the project which we made with the Hello World, what you can do is you can go onto this repo, or you can just scan this for the complete presentation. Thank you so much.